Good morning, everyone. Welcome on board to the fourth edition of the Edu Job Fair. I am so excited to welcome everyone to the first of its kind, a virtual job fair here in Edo State, the pace setter state. As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has literally disrupted almost every sector and how we do things. And that's why we're bringing you this fourth edition of the Edo Job Fair virtually. My name is Fumi Shodikwe, and I'm your moderator for this event. This event is brought to you by Edo Jobs in partnership with GIZ Nigeria Sky Program. The goal of the Edo Job Fair is to bring both employers and job seekers together on one platform to interact. And that's exactly what we'll be doing here today. In addition to that, we'll also be dishing out value through our amazing lineup of speakers. These speakers, who are industry experts, will be dishing out career insights in order to equip our capacity. Our first session on identifying temporary employment opportunities in the era of remote work would be facilitated by Juni Benson. And Precious Ajorno would be facilitating the next session on how to write a compelling CV, while the final career insight session on getting ready for interviews would be facilitated by Ukinebo Diary. Now, after the general sessions, we will then have a panel discussion with all three speakers, after which we would have our closing remarks by a representative of GIZ. After that, we will then regroup into the live employer booths to interact with employers for opportunities to land your dream job. The tech team will be telling us later during the course of this event on how that works. Please ensure that you take notes during the career insight sessions, as these sessions are worth several thousands of naira, but we're bringing it to you free so as to equip your capacity. Also, please make sure that your device is well charged and loaded with data from a fast and reliable internet provider. Thank you. If you're tuned into this broadcast late, please click the live button feature at the bottom right of your screen to watch this transmission live. If not, you can enjoy the delayed transmission of the event. Now it's time for the welcome address by His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair. We created Edo Jobs because as a government, we have a commitment to empower our young people in Edo State by creating jobs and giving them skills to employ themselves. Over the past 4 years, hundreds of employers have engaged thousands of candidates in job fairs just like the one we are having now. This year, the Edo State Skills Development Agency, popularly known as Edo Jobs, with the help of our partners, GIZ Sky, is hosting a virtual job fair. What is unique about this year's job fair is that we are responding to the COVID-19 reality by organizing this fair virtually. I am pleased to see that over 200 employers have registered for the event today, and I assure you that you are in the right place to find the best talent in Nigeria. This is because Edo youths are driven, dogged, risk takers, and thanks to our work through Edo Jobs, they are well trained in soft skills and employability skills. As for you, the candidates who are here today, please, as usual, be dedicated and committed when you get employed. I hope that you will seize this opportunity to make good use of it. I thank you once again to the partners who are collaborating with Edo State Government, and I say welcome.
Joey Benson is an experienced HR and communications consultant of over 16 years across public, private, and non-profit sectors spanning Nigeria, France, and England. She is the founder and CEO of Temploy Nigeria, an organization which simplifies temporary employment for organizations while providing Nigerian youth with work opportunities to develop employability skills and make productive use of their spare time. Joey Benson is the facilitator on identifying temporary employment opportunities in the era of remote work here at the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Joey Benson.
Can you see my screen and can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Joey Benson.
Okay, great. So I can go ahead. And can you see my screen too?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. Edo Jobs, GIZ, and Fumi. Thank you for all the follow-up and all the work that has been done in the background. I'm sure lots of people have no idea of the sleepless nights that many people have had regarding this job fair. Well done. All right, my name is Joey Benson, and I'll be speaking on identifying temporary employment opportunities in the era of remote work. I represent Temploy Nigeria, and our mission is to match good people with good work for good pay. Okay, I'm trying to slideshow. Right, so I'll be taking you through the background about Temploy, the Temploy advantage, and then preparing you for remote work. And yeah, we'll take. Okay, I'll start with the story of Charles. So incidentally, Charles is from Edo State, and I thought that this story would be very helpful. He's a first class graduate of Unilag. He applied to us late in 2019 for a full-time job. That was, I think, in December 2019, because we do both temporary jobs and permanent jobs. But because of the client's requirements, he was not selected for the work, but he was penciled down for a temp role in 2020. He ended up doing about 3 jobs with us, different times. Now, let me just backtrack a bit. Charles had, even though he graduated with the first class, you would think jobs would be looking for him, right? Unfortunately, no. He was at home for a very long time. And so when we penciled him down for a temp, when we told him we penciled him down for a temp role, he kept saying, oh, you know, this is the first interview I've had, and I would really like to get this job and all of that. And he did the work. He did it excellently well. That was like a 7-day job. We went on to the next one, which was like a 3-month job. He did that exceptionally well. In fact, he ended up taking a leadership role on that job. And then after that, he did about 2 more jobs with us. And eventually, I'll have you know that through us, Charles was able to get enough money to progress himself. So in 2019, in the same 2019, he had actually gotten a scholarship to study in Canada. But because he didn't have the funds, he could not pursue that scholarship. I mean, the funds I'm talking about for like the visa and, you know, other processing things that he had to do. But by last year again, he got another scholarship, and through the money he had gotten through temp jobs, he was able to actually progress himself. And I'm pleased to tell you that last month, Charles actually relocated to Canada. Now, why have I told this story? I've told this story to illustrate the problem of unemployment and overutilization that we have in Nigeria. So I don't need to give you the statistics about unemployment. It keeps growing on a daily basis. But one thing that a lot of people do not realize is that many people in Nigeria are actually overworked in their current jobs and businesses. These days, we hear of people slumping and dying in their sleep. You know, overworked, they're in traffic. I mean, just on Sunday, I heard the story of someone who basically, after driving for 4 hours in traffic, she got home and she slumped on her doorstep and she died 2 days later. And so there are lots of stressed people in Nigeria with really poor work-life balance, and another set of people who have skills, or at least can grow these skills, who need to be rightly matched in a mutually beneficial relationship. And that's where Temploy comes in, really. We match skilled people with spare time with busy people in exchange for income. So Nigeria operates a very permanent employment-oriented society, whereby, you know, you go to school, you go for NYSC, you finish, and then you start to look for a permanent job. But what we are saying here is, we are a unique skill recruitment service that simplifies temporary employment. So you haven't gotten your dream job, so you are looking to work in Shell or with GIZ, you know, and you haven't gotten it. But how about doing some other things that will give you employability skills and prepare you for the bigger jobs that you have in mind? And so we created a temporary employment model, which allows people to work from 1 day to 1 year based on client needs. And we decided to mine the Temploy name. So Temployers are organizations and individuals that require the services of temporary staff. And of course, anyone looking for a job is then called a Temployee, someone who is willing to exchange their services for payment. Now, we offer the Temploy advantage to both parties. So for Temployers, we're talking about you're saving time and money by hiring on a pay-as-you-go basis. You don't need staff permanently, no problem. You don't need them for 6 months, no problem. You need them for 1 day, yes, we can do it. You need them for, you thought you needed them for 1 month and then the work is not completed and you need them for an extra two weeks, no problem. It's a pay-as-you-go thing. And then you're able to maximize the productivity of your full-time staff by outsourcing the non-cost staff. So you're not stressing them, you're not overworking them. I'm sure that you gave them a job description, but over time, you know, different things tend to creep in because you do not want to hire another staff full-time, but we give you the opportunity to actually hire people just as you need them. And then you're able to retain a community of people that you can trust to do good work. And then also it's another way of recruitment. You know, recruitment is something these days that people will say, oh, some people just come to interviews and they can talk their way through. So now what we're saying is you try the staff. If you like them, then you get to keep them. So no commitments, no full-time commitments. And then for the Temployees as well, what we say is you're earning extra income from short-term jobs. Yeah, I mean, you're earning income or extra income, depending on if you already have a job. And then you're able to meet people, you know, begin to develop your networks to help for people who could help you get your dream job. In the process, of course, you're gaining useful work experience. So imagine someone who has done a series of temporary jobs. Let's go back to the Charles's example. He did about 3 or 4 jobs with us within a space of like less than 1 year, 10 months. Now you can imagine how rich his CV would look compared to somebody who starts at home for that 1 year. And then of course you're able to develop employability skills early. And for the wider society as well, what we say is, you know, we're providing talent to meet the employment needs of startups. If you've ever tried to start an SME, you will know that you are the CEO, you are the driver, you are the cleaner, you are the everything. And so we are providing people to support them as well. And then, of course, we're reducing unemployment and encouraging youth to develop these skills early. Of course, matching people to jobs and based on skills, level, and interest. You don't have to do what you don't want to do. And then generally reduce crime rates. I'm sure I don't need to go into details of the crime rate in Nigeria today. And generally a more engaged and employable youth population. Now, going to our topic of today, which is really identifying the jobs that can be done remotely. I'm sure a lot of people think, you know, we're so traditional minded, as in you have to go to the office, but a lot of jobs these days can be done remotely. Data entry, graphic design, IT support. I mean, if you've ever had to contact an IT engineer, you just find out that they're able to gain access to your screen and, you know, troubleshoot the problems there. They don't have to be with you. You know, customer service, you're having people these days deal with customers on phone from their homes, you know, for different clients, social media coverage, all of that, and so much more. I mean, HR now, even at Temploy, we conduct our interviews online. So lots of things are being done. So how do you prepare yourself for these opportunities? First of all, identify the jobs that can be done remotely. So we can take a few examples from the previous screen. And then you conduct a skills audit. So what skills do I need to perform them? It's, you know, it's nice to say, oh, I want to do graphic design, or I want to do, you know, social media management. But the question you should ask yourself is, do I actually have the skills? So let's take graphic design as an example, and let's split it into two. First of all, what are the technical skills required? An ability to use PowerPoint, Canva, Corel Draw, Adobe Photoshop, I mean, all design tools and all that. Now, it's one thing to know how to open Corel Draw, it's another thing to actually know how to use them. Now, what are the soft skills that are required? We're looking at time management. Time management is so key for temporary employment. Remember, no boss is coming to breathe down your neck to say, oh, have you done this? Let me see what you're doing and all that. Self-management as well. Are you somebody who can take initiative? Are you someone who can work on your own, work with minimal supervision? That's a skill that employers like a lot. You know, they want to be able to say that they can give you a job and go to sleep because they know that they don't have to worry. And then, of course, creativity. It's one thing to be able to throw images around in Canva or in Corel Draw, but can you actually make sense of it? Can somebody look at what you've done and be like, wow, you did this great? You know, I remember when we were developing the logo for Temploy, and I just wrote something. I'm not very good with art or anything graphic design, but I knew what I was trying to achieve. And I just wrote on it, you know, wrote something on paper, very small, and explained to the graphic designer. I said, this is what I'm trying to do. If you look at our logo, you see that the T connects with the Y. And I said, that's what we're trying to do, to connect employers to employees and all that. And you know that, you know, I gave the guy a day. By the time I came back, he had breathed life into what the small thing I scribbled on paper. And that's what it is. People have to get the sense that they can trust you for whatever it is that they ask you to do remotely, because they are not, you know, sitting with you and checking you every 5 minutes to see whether you're working. And that's just an example with graphic design. For social media management as well, you need creativity, you need good communication skills, you need to be able to, you need the ability to engage with people. What can you write? What trend can you latch onto, you know, to ensure that your whatever it is that you're promoting is well promoted and, you know, comes out strongly, so that you get the engagement and followership that you need. Of course, one way to get temporary employment in Nigeria is really to do it via Temploy website. So it's very simple. You just click sign up on our website. You select the Temployee tab if you're a candidate, or the Temployer tab if you're an organization that is seeking temporary employees. The selected tab is always highlighted in orange. And then complete the form, submit, and wait for our call. And I have just put a screenshot here so that you see. So you can see here the Temployee tab is highlighted in orange. So that means that if you're filling this, then you're filling this as a candidate. And then if you wanted to fill as a Temployer, you would fill the Temployer tab as well, and just provide the details, you know, of, I mean, your name, your email, you know, contact details, basically, your state, your local government, yeah, current status. Current status has to do with, you know, I finished school and waiting for NYC and all that. It's pretty much for us to gauge your availability and know what kind of jobs to place you on, especially the length of time. Now, in conclusion, I would just say that, COVID fast-tracked a new way of working, even for those who are used to the office. So I know I know someone, she's an IT engineer, and, her office moved she stays in Surulere, and her office moved from Ikeja to the island, and of course, she started going through traffic, which was, well, Ikeja to the island in Lagos. And of course, people that know Lagos know that traffic is on another level. And she started going through traffic every time, and she was saying, can I work from Ikeja, because they still had an office there. They said, no, you need to be with the people that you are supporting. You need to be with them. Okay, can I work from home sometime? No, you need to be there, and all that. And then COVID happened, and I can tell you that for the past year, this lady hasn't even gone to the office. In fact, not just that, as I speak to you, she is out of Lagos. She's been out of Lagos since December, and she's working remotely from there. Now, you can imagine, for people who thought that, no, you have to be in the office, you have to be with me to do the work, there's less emphasis on that now. Virtual has become the new reality, and really, I can just end by saying that the future of work is here, and I encourage everyone to embrace it. Thank you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you very much, Joanne, for that amazing insight on identifying temporary employment in the era of remote work. And you've also told us so much about the work that you do at Temploy. All right, so I have questions, hoping that we would have some amazing discourse on this subject of temporary employment. First off, let's start with, the work you do at Temploy. What's the difference between regular part-time jobs people know, like, contract jobs, as we would call it, and the one that you just spoken about in Temploy? What's the difference? For a contract job, you won't enjoy the usual benefits of a full-time employee. So
Okay.
is that the same thing we're going to see if one signs in at Temploy?
Yes, so it actually depends on the way that it works. So in Nigeria, I have to say here, what we have as contract job is actually people really trying to avoid making people permanent staff. Yeah, so you have people that are on 1 year renewable contracts, whereas the idea is, if you've tried me for a certain number of times, you should actually make me a staff. But what we're saying with employees, you have time, you have spare time. So let's say, for example, you work Monday to Friday, and then you have time over the weekend to do some quick data entry work. You're getting additional money from that. You're getting, additional income. Or you work, say, 8 to 2, and then you have the evenings as well. What we're saying is you can get this temporary employment to help you to augment your salary and all. And so it's I'll call it a time limited opportunity, in terms of you can do a 1 week job, you can do a 1 month job, 6 months, or you can say that I'm available every Friday. For example, you're a student and I have 2 days off a week. I can come in, or I can do this work for you remotely. So that's really the difference.
Okay, so it's very flexible.
It's super flexible, super flexible.
So even if I have a job, I can sign up at Temploy to do 1 or 2 things, as far as I'm delivering value.
That's really the main thing. As far as you're delivering value, and as far as you have agreements with your employer on how you're going to deliver, that's the main thing.
All right. What does registration entail for both a job seeker and an employer at Temploy? Would anyone need to pay, to subscribe to Temploy, either the job seeker or the employer?
So we don't charge job seekers. Of course, if you're looking for a job, it's not because you have a stash of millions somewhere. So we don't charge job seekers. So the employer, they would also sign up for free, but by the time they are getting, by the time we understand their requirements and who they need, and they would then have to, how would I put it now? They pay, pretty much, the employer pays. That's the summary. But they are not necessarily paying an extra rate. The pay is it's all embedded in what they're going to pay to the employee.
Okay, great. Just for clarity, can people who live in Edo State work in other states with employers? Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible, and that's why we try to focus on remote work as well, because things like social media management, graphic design. I mean, we're having this job fair. We are totally virtual, and we communicated everything. I haven't met you for me. I'm sure you can. In fact, I've already seen somebody has just signed up now on Template, and I'm sure it's one of the people on
Wow.
Edu Jobs. I just got
Wow.
the notification now. Yes, so we can do it, as long as the key thing is their communication channels clearly defined online. And so once we're able to connect the candidates with the employer, I mean, they can start work. So yes, they can do a lot of things remotely.
All right. So, where do they need to get to start the process? How do we make
So
this happen?
Temploy.ng, click on sign up, click on the Temployee tab for the candidates, and then click on the Temployer tab. Just like I said, we get the notifications each time a form is completed, and so we would reach out to the person to take discussions forward.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joy. It's been a pleasure having you at the 4th virtual edition of the Edu Job Fair.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go on a short break. When we come back, we'll have our next speaker who'll be speaking to us on how to write a compelling CV. Stay with us.
You a job seeker trying to land your dream job, or an employer seeking to recruit talented candidates for positions at your organization? Then do not miss the opportunity to meet recruiters and find the right candidates at the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair, coming up on Tuesday, the 18th of May 2021, time 10 a.m. This edition is virtual. Attendance and exhibition at the fair is free. For registration and inquiries, please visit www.edojobs.careers/virtual job fair or call 0807 864 6487 or 0902 7465 864. Brought to you by Edo Jobs and GIZ Sky. Are you a job seeker trying to land your dream job, or an employer seeking to recruit talented candidates for positions at your organization? Then do not miss the opportunity to meet recruiters and find the right candidates at the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair coming up on Tuesday, the 18th of May 2021. Time 10 a.m. This edition is virtual. Attendance and exhibition at the fair is free. For registration and inquiries, please visit www.edojobs.careers/virtual job fair or call 0807 864 6487 or 0902 7465 864. Brought to you by Edo Jobs and GIZ Sky. Are you a job seeker trying to land your dream job? Or an employer seeking to recruit talented candidates for positions at your organization? Then do not miss the opportunity to meet recruiters and find the right candidates at the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair coming up on Tuesday, the 18th of May 2021. Time 10 a.m. This edition is virtual. Attendance and exhibition at the fair is free. For registration and inquiries, please visit www.edojobs.careers/virtual job fair or call 0807 864 6487 or 0902 7465 864. Brought to you by Edo Jobs and GIZ Sky. Are you a job seeker trying to land your dream job? Or an employer seeking to recruit talented candidates for positions at your organization? Then do not miss the opportunity to meet recruiters and find the right candidates at the 4th edition of the Edo.
You're welcome back to the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair, brought to you by Edo Jobs in partnership with GIZ Nigeria, the Sky program. Now, for everyone who is here, you know what we're here for. We're here to put both job seekers and employers together on one platform to interact, and that's exactly what we're doing here today. That's what we're going to do here today. We've just heard from our first panelist today, our first speaker, Joey Benson, who has spoken to us on how to identify temporary employment in the era of remote work. She's told us about Temploy, how you can log into Temploy, how you can subscribe to Temploy as a job seeker, and how our employers in the house can also subscribe to Temploy. Now, Temploy, like she has mentioned, gives job seekers opportunities to find temporary employment remotely. So from wherever you are, you can sign in, you can subscribe to Temploy and be able to work for organizations in and outside of Edo State. So I expect everyone present here, we have about 80 attendees. Please ensure that you after this meeting, go to the website www.temploy.ng to sign in or to subscribe to Temploy. I can see questions here, and I want all attendees right now to please, if you have questions for our first speaker, please go to the chat box just at the top right corner of your screen to drop those questions, especially for our first speaker. Ask any questions that you have. I have one question here. Joey Benson, this question is for you. Please unmute your mic and allow your video. So this question says, is Temploy available in Edo State? Joey.
Using my video, I can see myself.
No. Yes,
okay.
I can see you now. Great.
All right. Okay. Okay, yes, so we will, Kemi, am I allowed to? Kemi, am I allowed to disclose our plans? Temploy will soon be available in Edo State, yes. We will soon be available. But that doesn't stop anyone from Edo State from applying right now, because remember, if when we have remote job opportunities, we are contacting people regardless of their locations. So yes. Oh yes, and I can see a lot of people signing up. So we've gotten about 4 sign-ups from employees.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
Yes.
They should keep it up. Please.
I'm pretty sure that they are all from this session.
Okay, so I have another question for you, Joey. Is there a limitation to the skills that Temploy accepts, or employers who register with Temploy accept? Take for instance, I'm a voiceover artist. Can I register at Temploy? Would I find someone who, needs my skills at Temploy? Or is there just administrative skills, the graphics design, like you've rightly mentioned? Are there other skills that, anyone else has that they can sign up for at Temploy?
So there are so many. There are so many. So we started out with administrative skills. But right now we have placed people in, sales and marketing. In fact, we have someone that just started work today as a HR consultant, temporary HR consultant. She's going to be working for 2 months with a client. We had a call last week for somebody who wanted a cleaner. So even though we say we do admin jobs, because people understand the concepts that this is temporary and it's a case of I need somebody for a very short time, so we actually get requests from different people. So yes, if you need a voiceover job, why not? I'm sure that some employer will come up and say I need someone to do a voiceover for me, and then it will just be a beautiful match.
So the first step is just to sign up and then state your skills when you're signing up, so you can be matched with a possible employer.
Absolutely. I think I should also say here that on the form, let me see if I can actually share my screen again. So on the form, you get to, okay, I'm on the form right now. So let me just, I hope it's let me share website. Yeah. Can you see the website?
Not yet. Yes, I can see it now.
Okay, so that's the sign up form. So the employee page, because I basically just did a half screenshot. So current status, you say whether you're high school, graduate experience and all of that. NYC status, that's important for us as well, because if let's say you just graduated and you are going for NYC in 3 months, and then we have a 6-month job, then we know we can't consider. Because one thing that our employers like is actually continuity. So they want to know that the person that started the work is the one to complete it, especially when some jobs involve a lot of confidentiality and the candidates would have signed non-disclosure agreements. So they don't want their data going from hand to hand. Yeah, so we need that information on the availability. I cannot stress it enough. It's really, really important, so that when we're telling you that a job is for 4 months, we want to be sure you need to decide, can you commit to that 4 months? If you cannot, no problem. We will just get you another job that works with your timelines as well. And then these are the areas of interest. You can click any of that, and then you also have an opportunity to, when you click others, a box opens here. So for someone like you that wants a voiceover job, then you can then put in your details. So yes, there are lots of things. And then going to the employer tab as well, you will see opportunities, of course, to write the name of your organization, what we do and all that. Of course, we conduct checks as well on people, because I'm sure you heard the instance of a lady looking for a job recently into the weekend. So that's why we need this information. It's not because we want to stress people to complete jobs, but we need to know that we are matching people to real jobs and not audio jobs, in Nigeria as well. And so that's why we try to get as much information as possible. So what kind of person do you need? And sometimes, again, we would have employers say, no, I need someone with a master's to do a 2-month job of data entry. And we're also providing advice to say, this job does not need somebody with that skill. Are you ready to pay for that level of skill, for the expertise that the person will bring to that job, or can you step down your requirements? So we're not just taking whatever people say at face value. We're trying to dig deeper to find out, okay, what is it you want done? Do you think that this person can do it? Let's try these people and all that. And we also offer replacements. So if for any reason, first thing, let me backtrack a bit to say, for the employees, we don't just post you to a job. We conduct assessments. Yeah. So you say, for example, people have ideas in their mind. So I can play around with CorelDRAW, therefore I can do graphic design. Same thing. Yeah. So you have said you can do graphic design. We will test you on that, because we want to be sure that when you go to apply, you are representing us well. And so the client is not saying, who is this person that you sent to me? So if you say, for example, you can do report writing, you can do research, we want to see examples of what you've done before, we will test you. And sometimes these tests they're really so simple. Sometimes it's just a case of, we're testing your computer proficiency to know, let's even see how you can navigate, some of these applications that you claim to be able to know how to use. So the truth is also very important, because it's one thing to say, I can do this. It's another thing to actually be able, to do it as well. And then again, here on the employer side, you see duration. So you can say it's 1 month, it's 1 year. I mean, the job I was telling you that, Charles started with, they told us, they need employees for 1 week. After, by Thursday, they said, we don't think they'll be done by Friday. We would like to add 2 days. And, we basically just charge them a daily rate. So if you think that, I need somebody, the second job too, it was for 3 months. By the second week, penultimate week of the third month, they said, we need to extend this for an additional 1 week. So that flexibility is there for employers as well. And I think I just have to say here, I took this out of the presentation because of the time constraints, but I just want to talk about it now. So the things we offer to employers, really, I would say affordable convenience. So if you've ever tried to recruit somebody, you know that it is not a funny process. It's a long, drawn-out process, and sometimes you may not even get the kind of candidate that you're looking for, that it both can do the work, is a match in terms of culture for your organization and all that. But a lot of people believe that this convenience is costly. And so what we say is we help our employers to meet staffing needs in response to changes to their workload. And thereafter, we are ultimately helping them to reduce their cost of employment. Again, when we talk about newness and accessibility, some businesses believe, I cannot afford recruiters are too expensive, I need somebody full-time. And what we say is we're offering you the opportunity to access skills from periods as short as 1 day. So if you cannot afford to hire staff, you can access them on a need basis without entering into any permanent or long short-term contracts, in quotes, yeah. And then prompt service as well. Sometimes somebody will call us on Friday. One time somebody called us on Friday afternoon and said, we need people to resume on Monday, can you do it? Now, because we regularly conduct tests, of course, we were like, yes, we can do it, just tell us what you want. And the people were there, and they resumed as well. So we provide tasks, promptly for those urgent tasks that you could not have seen coming.
So that information is very useful for employers. We have some questions, in the chat box from job seekers. But before we ask the questions, I have one last question. You mentioned rates. Can job seekers negotiate with these employers on how much, they would I say charge, or how much they're willing to accept from these temporary employers on Temploy? Can there be a negotiation, or is there a standard rate for specific jobs?
There can be a negotiation, but usually the negotiation comes with more of the skilled jobs. So say you want to do graphic design, yes, you can negotiate. This HR person that I told you just started today now, she negotiated, because when you have the skills, then you have more to negotiate. But for jobs like data entry, jobs that are quite basic, we basically try to work with, we actually give them a good rate. We try to work with a good rate for them. So it's not like we're just pushing them out into the market to do, just to earn, for want of a better word, no pay. But we actually do try. And again, we try to work with the employer's budget and also the employee's expectations. So ensuring that we're able to, at least ensure a good match between both.
All right, thank you very much. On the chat box, someone is asking, what's the spelling of the website? I believe it's temploy.ng, right?
Yeah, or even if you type in Temploy Nigeria in your Google search, it will bring it up.
Okay, great. We have other questions here. It says, I've just signed up on Temploy website, and I would like to know if employers that sign up in search for competent employees, if they seek positions of entry-level candidates as well. That's for persons who don't have any experience at all. Do you understand the question, Joy? The question is, I believe that this person has no experience, and person wants to know if the employers will be willing to accept someone who doesn't have experience?
Oh yes, yes, yes. So we have that. We have that a lot. That's why I said, we provide jobs for skilled, semi-skilled, and unskilled. But the most important thing I should say here is the attitude to work, regardless. So somebody that has never worked before can do data entry, but the question is, are you meticulous? Are you able to pay attention to detail? Yes, you don't have the technical experience in code for data entry, but you can use a computer. But can you also, pay attention to detail? If someone says, I want you to transfer this information from PDF to Excel in this format, put this information in this row, in this column, and all that, can you do that? You don't need to have gone to a data entry school for that. It's pretty basic, but you can do that. Yeah, so we have people that are entry. We even have jobs for students as well. So you have 2 days a week or something. You don't have experience, because for us, this is one way to build experience. We know Nigerian employers can be very realistic. Yeah,
I'm rigid about experience. 5 years, 10 years.
22 years with 10 years experience. So yes, and with Templar, what we're saying is you are beginning to build that experience. You are beginning to understand even the office environment, what it takes to function there, and then you can do better than someone who's just sitting at home and expecting a job to fall in their laps.
It's interesting that you mentioned that students can also apply on Template, because I had a question here which you've just answered. It says, are there opportunities for internships? And I believe internships wouldn't be graduate now, but basically student internships. So there are opportunities.
There are options for internships, yes.
All right, final question. All right, you were going to say something, Jane.
It's really about matching the employer with the employee. So in some cases, we would have a lot of employees. Of course, with the Nigerian situation, we have a lot of employees, and once the employer comes up, they're snapping them up. And sometimes if the employer says, oh, do you have this person? And we say, don't worry, we'll look for the person for you. So either way, there will always be a match.
All right, great. Final question before we move on to our next speaker. It says, are there part-time jobs or weekend jobs on the platform?
Well, yes. The way it works is the employer has to say when the job and when he wants the job to be conducted. So it's on the basis of that availability that we, on the basis of that we then say, okay, this job needs to be done Monday to Friday. This job needs to be done, Saturday to Sunday. Like we're speaking with an employer now who wants someone to work Friday to Sunday. So there are different things. It's really about the client needs and then finding who has the time, the availability to also match them together.
All right, thank you so much, Joy Benson, for a very enlightening and informing session on identifying temporary employment in the era of remote work. Ladies and gentlemen, this is still the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair. We're bringing it to you virtual this year, and that's because of the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Anyways, we have a lot in store for you. We are going to have our next speaker now, Precious Ajernu, who is going to be speaking to us on how to write a compelling CV. Now, I know that many people are here and they're wondering, okay, when are we going to start the main action? We're going to start that very soon, I promise you. But we're going to, first of all, equip your capacity on our Career Insight session. And after that, we will now regroup to have one-on-one interactions with employers who are willing and able and are ready, to have these interactions with you. All right, so we're going to play a video now that's going to introduce our next speaker, Precious Ajernu, after which we're going to be hearing from her.
Okay, hi everybody. I don't know if we're going to play a video or I can just dive right into it.
A broad variety of highly specialized work cultures and professions with experience in insurance. Precious Ajonu is a highly skilled learning and development expert with about 12 years working experience. She's a human resources manager who has earned organizational insights from working with a broad variety of highly specialized work cultures and professions, with experience in instructional design, leading HR initiatives, mentoring business leaders to develop soft skills, and a strong ability to integrate within diverse multicultural teams. She's the head of youth engagement and learning at Jobaman Nigeria. Precious Ajonu is a facilitator on how to write a compelling CV here at the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Precious Ajonu.
Hi everyone, that's the best intro I've had at any event whatsoever. So thank you very much for screaming and all of that. My name is Precious Imuwahe Ajonu, as said, and I am thrilled to be here. I'm going to dive straight into it and share my screen in hopes that we can all have a good time. If you can see my screen, perhaps someone will let me know in the chat, and then I'm happy to just continue. Can everybody hear me good, and can you see my screen?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly, and I can see your screen.
Awesome, thank you so much for that. So today we're going to be talking about how to write a compelling CV. And like I said earlier, my name is Precious Imuwahe Ajonu. Some about Jobaman, if you wonder where I'm from, #1 online recruitment platform. So if you're looking for a job in Nigeria, you know where you need to go. And that's me, Aaron and Alia's mom. And this is how we do training at Jobaman. This is a certificate. And then let me just go straight to what my objectives are. At the end of this session, I want you to be able to understand what an ATS, applicant tracking system, is and how you can optimize it when looking for job opportunities. I want you to be able to scan for opportunities in disruptive times. If you're not living under the rock, you're probably wearing a map somewhere and you know that we've just survived the pandemic or we're still in the middle of the pandemic, depending on who you listen to. Know how to prepare an effective and contemporary CV and understand how to chronicle your work experience. Before I start any session, I typically like to set expectations. So if you're listening to me, you can hear me good. Please set expectations, write down 3 things that you hope to get from this learning experience, and let's see if I meet them at the end of the day. Your CV is your marketing tool. The average recruiter will spend only 3 to 5 seconds looking at your CV. And I'm talking particularly to young people who have 10-page CVs, 5-page CVs, and if you're not a professor, you don't need any of those. Even professors can have their CVs very smartly written in 2 pages. So you need to appreciate what a good resume is and how you can create one. Before I go further, I'm going to talk about the cool stuff called the applicant tracking system. This is how we do selections at Jobaman, and this is how most people do selections. I mean, think about it. Let's say Shell, for example, they're looking for software engineers, and then 30,000 people apply for the job. If myself or Kemi is the recruitment manager, and we have to go through 30,000 CVs, we'll probably die, right? So you want to use technology, you want to leverage technology. So I need you to understand what this technology is and how to optimize your CV for technology and not necessarily a person. So typically it will look like this filter. Shell will get all applications, you know, from 30,000 people maybe, and we have an over 33% unemployment rate. So you can imagine how many young people are looking for jobs. And then applicants that are qualified will be drilled down. Again, all of this is done electronically. And then applicants scored and ranked. And then finally, the highest ranked are those who will be called for interviews. Why is it important to know how the ATS works? It's important because you need to tailor your CV for each job advert. What many young people do is things like, They're looking for a doctor. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor, you just apply and hope for the best. You apply and then you pray, right? And then you hope for some sort of miracle. Fortunately or unfortunately, the technology is so unbiased, doesn't work that way. You need to, it's been programmed to look for keywords. So for example, if I say I'm looking for a youth engagement professional and I put keywords like has worked in development organizations, is age between XYZ. Okay, I wouldn't put age, but has worked in development organizations. The person has 5 years experience, probably an MBA. When you send in your CV, the applicant tracking system, the ATS, will be looking for those keywords. That's why it's so critical that you tailor your CVs to suit any job you're applying. So don't use one CV for all jobs, and then hope for the best. You have to each time treat your job application as a job in itself, and then spend some time, go through what they're looking for, and make sure that your CV is tailored for the ATS. Yeah.
Don't worry, I will do that.
Okay, and so this is an example of what a good CV looks like, right? And this is from Edward Bakker. So he has his name, he has his email address, he has his address, and it's okay for you to just say London, or it's okay for you to say GRA Benin City. You don't necessarily need to put the specific address. Reason being, we are living through very extraordinary times, and you want to also be careful in terms of how you share your addresses. You don't know where your CV is going to get to. And then, of course, your phone number should be included. This is a fresh graduate, so it makes sense that the education comes first. However, if you have some work experience, you will flip this and have your experience come before education somewhere at the bottom. This person has a one-page CV. Absolutely brilliant if you're a fresh school leaver. You don't need 2 pages. You need 1 page, smart CV, well formatted, all the necessary information in 1 page, very smart. You will get your foot through the door. Or you can have 2 pages, but you should not have more than 2 pages unless you are maybe an artist and you've been asked specifically to send a portfolio, and in that case they will tell you how much information that you should include. So you want to put things like your experience, your skills, your awards, interest. You were the best volleyball champion in Edo State during the time of, I don't know, Muhammad Ali. You want to put it in your CV. You've done something extraordinary, you've volunteered, you've worked in organizations. You want all of that to be on your CV. But most importantly, remember, you must tailor your CV using the requirements for the job. And I'm not saying that you should go lie. So for example, Precious cannot apply for a front-end developer role because I do not have those certifications. So make sure that you have them, and then make sure your CV is optimized. These are examples of what not to have on your CV. It's very tacky. And then look at, many times when you use Microsoft Word, you will see this lining under when something is not spelled right. Please do not send your CV to us or anybody like this, right? It just reeks of incompetence, if you like, because I'm looking at this and I'm already thinking, Ayodimeji, maybe this is not the best way. You want it to be something like Toby Lobas or Obiangeli, very succinct, short and sweet and straight to the point. And then also pay attention to the way the professional experience was written. Work experience neatly on one side, right? And then the dates neatly on the other side. You don't want it all over the place. And it also helps to have your most recent job experience first, and then you go down. And I'm always trying not to mess it up, like 2014, or for example, 2010, 2013, 2012, and 2009 or 2020. That's not easy to read, and that could become problematic for you. You want to be able to have things around your areas of expertise or even your skills. What is wrong with the first one, right? The first one is everything is added together. It's very difficult to read. So guys, when you create your CV, look at it, Have someone more senior also review your CV if you can. If you can afford it, use the services of a professional and make sure that you've written something that is pleasing to the eyes and is also optimized for an ATS. For those of us who put in a lot of pictures, templates in our CVs, you need to be very careful. Why? Because many times an ATS machine cannot read that, the ATS software, I beg your pardon, cannot read that those texts, and then that can also throw you off the platform. So you need to be mindful. And this is an example of something that looks nice and sweet, education written nicely, training, and then of course professional qualification. So what are some of the CV writing tips that you should be mindful of as you create your compelling CV? Number one, I've said it and I'll say it again, tailor your CV to each job advert by using the exact keywords and skills mentioned. If you didn't hear anything during our time together, please hear this. You need to make sure that you tailor your CV for each particular job. Keep it short and sweet, right? You don't want 10 pages, 4 pages, 3 pages, too long. 1-page CV, excellent. 2 pages, great, especially if you have less than 5-year experience. Only include relevant information. So things around gender, things around race, or even tribe, or how many children your parents have, or just all that information, and the 7th born. We've seen things like that. You need to, if you're doing it, you need to stop doing that. Clearly state your achievements and how you've achieved. And then let me also add this, use verbs, use action words, co-created XYZ, right? Initiated, implemented, words that show action, use them on your CV. I don't know if you saw the meme going around about how you write something on LinkedIn. Make sure that you are selling yourself. Don't be modest on your CV, as long as you can walk the talk. Excellent communicator. Use the word, don't just say I'm a communicator. You want to qualify that skill or that experience. So clearly state your achievements and how you've achieved them. Very important. And then especially if you are in sales, quantify, led a $1 billion deal, or negotiated $10 million or 10 naira or 10 million. You don't want to say 10 naira, absolutely, but 1,000, 1 million and all of that. What does that do for somebody? If I'm looking at your CV and I see somebody who is saying to me that I've already negotiated deals worth 1 million and they are a fresh graduate, it tells me that if I bring that person in as a sales officer, they have the right kind of mindset to be able to hit the ground running, right? So you want to be able to communicate that. And maybe you're a software engineer. You want to say, oh, created XYZ app available on Play Store, created this, created that, put all of those in your CV. Check for spelling and grammatical errors on your CV, guys. Very, very, very important. And there are tools that can help you. There's Grammarly, there is spell check. Make sure that you spell check. And for those of us who would write our cover letters, I'll talk about that in a bit, in the body of our emails. Please, I encourage us to use Microsoft Word so that we can spell check it and then lift it into your email. There's something about bad grammar that's just off-putting, right? If I see somebody with very bad grammar, it's distracting, and it might get in the way of me actually seeing your skills. So be honest, guys. Do not include jobs that you did not do or false achievements. You tell me that you were the best orator in Uniben and you come for my interview and you're not able to speak properly, we're going to have a problem. So what are some of our cover letter writing tips? You want to include a cover letter. It's great to have a compelling CV, but it's even better to make sure that you include a cover letter, right? And this is an example of something that you can include in the body of your email. You start with what you're applying for, where you saw the opportunity. Enclosed is your resume, and then here you are selling yourself, right? You're talking about your education and experience in a way that emphasizes that you're the best person for the job. Guys, look, Think about it as getting into a ring where there are so many different people wanting to fight with you. I want to be the Muhammad Ali, if possible, when I'm in that ring. So I want that person to see that Precious is the only person that can do this job. So feel free to sell yourself. And then there should always be a call to action. I'm excited at the opportunity. I'm available at XY. I would even put a date. I'm available from June the 1st to the 30th for an interview, and I would love to have a chat with you. Many times those things work. So I've also talked about the cover letter structure, sell who are you, and then talk about your magic. Guys, listen, everybody's going to listen to me and attempt to do this. But see, the people that will still differentiate themselves are the people that understand that they have magic, right? How are you magical? What is the thing about you that nobody else brings to the table? Sell it and then include that in your resume. So this is another example for a data analyst intern, in terms of the idea is not for you to copy it, but I just wanted you to see how neat and how nicely written it was. So now that I've said all this, as we close, I'm going to say this. Many of us already have CVs, right? We've been applying for jobs, but you've listened to me, you've heard about things, heard me talk about the ATS, the applicant tracking system. You've heard me talk about tailoring your CV for each specific job opportunity, right? And then I want you to think about, and I've talked about length of CV, and I've talked about not having any distracting material. So think about, go back after now, and then think about what you need to stop doing, what needs to leave your CV. What are you already doing that you will continue to do? And what would you start doing? For me, I'm going to say, start spending more time when applying for job, and make sure that you have a job strategy around your CV, your cover letter, and the call for action towards your interview. If you have any questions at this point, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you for listening.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Professor Janet. All right, so we're now going to take questions from participants. Please use the chat box, the Q&A, on your top right of your screen. Precious, please, can you put up your audio?
Put up my audio, sure.
Thank you. The reason why I said you should do that was it was distracting. I could hear myself. All right, so now let's move on to the question and answers. Well, I think that we should have the question and answers after our next speaker. We're going to have Ukinebo Diary speak to us on how to get ready for interviews. If you don't mind, Precious, let's have that, and then we can now have a panel discussion, between you and Uki on the topics that both of you would have delivered. Thank you so much. But however, job seekers, please drop your questions. Uki has shared so much insight that, I've picked so much. She has said that have a strategy when you're applying for a job. Don't have one CV for all applications. Tailor your CV for each job that you're applying for. She also said that we should spend more time, working on your CV. Take it like it's actually the job you're doing already. Spend more time, write a cover letter, always attach a cover letter, when you're applying for a job. All right, we're just going to play a video now that introduces our next speaker, Ukinebo Diary. She's the managing director of Edo Jobs, the organization responsible for this fair. All right, so she's going to be speaking to us on how to get ready for interviews.
Ukinebo Diary is passionate about youth engagement, employment, job creation, and finding practical solutions to previously unsolvable problems through collaboration, problem solving, and creative thinking. She's the managing director, Edo State Skills Development Agency, also known as Edo Jobs. Uki, having worked in the private sector, civil society, and government, has implemented programs which have impacted over 179,000 executives, entrepreneurs, and job seekers across multiple disciplines, industries, and countries. Ukinebo Daire is the facilitator on getting ready for interviews here at the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Ukinebo Daire.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here. I'm on the. I thought I would have gotten to my destination, but it's fine. I'm happy to be here to share some insights with you on interview skills. This is a topic that I think is always a pleasure for me to teach, because I know that a lot of people have things that happen during interviews. Some of them come from being nervous. Some of them come from the fact that you are being in that hot seat. You are being judged whether you like it or not. So in that process, you need to be prepared. Now, one thing I always say about interviews, when it comes to interviews, is that when it comes to interviews, there's a lot of information online. There's a lot of there are a lot of things that you can check, in like common interview questions. You can check how to answer interview questions. In all of that space, one must remember that the employer is trying to get to know you. So you don't want to be too generic with your answers, but to help you prepare, I'm going to just tell you about the three most. You have to answer these three questions right. And if you don't answer the three of them right, you are most likely not going to get a call back for that dream job, or even if it's not the dream job, but that present job that you want at that moment. At this point, I usually like to ask if anybody can guess what they think. So if you can post in the chat what you think the three most important interview questions are, then I can see if anybody has an idea. Now, while you're doing that, I'll just let you know that those important interview questions, nobody's going to ask you directly. They're going to ask you indirectly. And they don't even know that those are some employers don't even know that's what they're asking. But in actual fact, there are three things every employer wants to know. And number one and most important, well, I won't say it's the most important, but it's the one that will even get you the attention of the interviewer. The first interview question is, can you do the job? Now, can you do the job is answered by your skills, your experience, what you've done before. So questions like, tell me where you've worked before, tell me what you've done, and when you were in school, did you do anything else outside reading your books? Yes. Or tell me a project that you've worked on. The employer is trying to determine if you have the capacity and the capability to do the job. Without that, there's no interview. So if an interviewer asks you, can you do the job? Of course, you will say yes. You're not going to say, no, I can't do the job. You're not going to say, oh, I'm not sure I can do the job, because you're there to sell yourself. So the interviewer is not going to ask you if you can do the job. They're going to ask you different things around that to see if you actually know your onions, if what you wrote on your CV is very true. Because some people will be part of a team that did something. For example, they will be part of a team that set up the new office, and on their CV they will write it there that they were in charge of setting up the new office. Maybe the only thing they did was actually to put one chair in the right place. So interviewers have to ask you questions to know that you really know your onions about what is on your CV. And you answer this question by using a very popular method, which is called the STAR method. So you don't just say, oh yes, you don't just give one word answers. You must be able to speak so you have a group project that you were working on in school. So you talk about the situation that came up, you talk about the task that you were given, you talk about the action that you carried out. So STAR, and you talk about the results, because at the end of the day, so if I say, for example, that we were in a situation where our employer decided that he wanted to carry out a CSR project for people in the community, and people in the office were asked to volunteer, and I offered myself to be on that committee. These are the tasks I carried out. I was in engagement, to interact, make sure that the people knew what we were doing, make sure that we had their buy-in. I had to work with the partners that were coming on to bring donations, and as a result of that, we had the fantastic event, and it became an annual event. So I was part of the team that did this, that. So that way, you have already said what you have done, and you have okay, what have I learned from you in that answer? Number one, I've learned that you're somebody who volunteers themselves for extra responsibility. Everybody wants to hire somebody that's like that. I have learned that you are good with interactions and stakeholder management. So if the job needs that automatically, then I know that you can do the job. I've learned that you are into sustainability because you were able to take your time to tell me that the thing is continuous. And I've also learned that you work well in a team because you did not just say like you did everything. You said that you were part of the team that did it. So that's how to answer interview questions. Just expand that for every question you're asked in an interview. Remember the STAR method. Now, once you have crossed that bridge and the employer knows that, oh wow, this young lady can do the job, this man can do the job, the next thing that person is thinking is, will you do the job? Will you do the job? Because every employer can testify. There are people you have on your team sometimes that are fantastic. They have the skills, they have everything, but they will not do their job unless you beg them, you tell them the right way, you sing a song, you shout, because that question is about attitude. So yes, I know that you are this fantastic person and highly skilled, but are you going to have the right attitude to work? Are you willing to serve? Are you humble, or are you proud? And sometimes for this question, they might not even ask, they might just watch your demeanor. Sometimes they might ask you funny questions, especially if you are going to be in a role that requires a lot of emotional intelligence, maybe like a customer service role or a leadership role. The person wants to know, or for example, if they know that the person you are going to work with is very hard or is very demanding, they want to know if you have the attitude and the capacity to work with that person. They might even ask you funny questions or try to trip you up, say something that is annoying. I know one young lady she went for an interview for customer service, and I always use that story because it's so funny. She said when she got into the interview room, I think one of her volunteer experiences showed the church that she attends, so that she attends MFM. And then the interviewer next thing looks at her and said, you attend MFM, you're wearing contact, you have a long weave on, blah, blah, blah. They just started like tackling her from all sides. And she wanted to react, but she kept her cool, she responded. And at the end of the day, they told her, they just apologized and said, don't worry, we were just trying to see if you can handle pressure. Because if you're going to be in customer service, everybody knows the customer service people are what do we call them? They're the ones that take the heat for the organization. So will you do the job? You have to be ready to answer questions like that. You have to be ready from even how you look, how you walk in, how you are respectful, to be able to convince that employer that you have the right attitude yourself out there. Now remember, if they ask you these questions, can you do the job? If they ask you, will you do the job? You will say, yes, I will do it. In fact, that's why we say that most of us are into recruitment. Some people come into the interview room and it's more like a scam because they will tell you anything you want to hear. So when you're there, you see the real person. So the third question is, do you fit into our organization? And fit is something intangible. It's not something that you can always follow the organization. You just have to present yourself well. You just have to put your best foot forward. Make sure that you are always, you are able to, from how you dress, from how you carry yourself, especially if it's a physical interview, from not simple things that you should never do in interviews, because you don't know how it's going to play out on the other side. So things like your dressing, the way you speak, the way your posture, all of these things, and the way you interact. So you don't go into an interview and become a shadow of yourself and become like, when you're nervous. Okay, this final thing as I round up. A person that is nervous, when you're nervous, your body produces adrenaline. And adrenaline is something that wipes away your memory. That's the best way I can say it. Have you ever been in an exam hall and you couldn't remember something? Then when you got to the door, everything started coming to your head after you have submitted your paper. That's because your body is relaxing, your mind is relaxing, and suddenly your brain is working properly. So try to manage your nerves before you go into an interview. Just tell yourself that you are confident, I know what to do, this is my chance, I'm going to take it, and I always tell people, if you're already full of adrenaline, because your hands start shaking, you start having tummy ache, you start feeling like, oh no, I think I'm not feeling fine, oh my God. So if you're pumped full of adrenaline, I'm going to teach you something. It's funny, but it works. Go into the restroom and do some, jump and shake your body. You need to use up that adrenaline. Oh, the network. Is it back on? Okay, so you want to make sure you don't have to start counting your age when they ask you how old you are, or start saying, when they say, so what are your strengths? Start saying, oh my God, I know the answer. Oh my God, that's because your brain has started shutting down because of too much nervousness. So try your best to manage that. And then also you want to make sure that you want to get to know the real you. So don't be over familiar. People, much younger people, but you have to know how to speak like a professional, because they're thinking, how are you going to speak to my clients, especially depending on the kind of organization you are going to work for. So if your organization deals with high net worth clients, they expect you to know that you're not supposed to say yeah, or you people said I should do this. You have to know how to speak properly, because that's part of them see that you fit into their organization. You can operate in their world, and you can present yourself in the way that you should be presented. So I do not typically like to prescribe answers to interview questions, because as somebody who has done a lot of interviews, you find that people just regurgitate the same answers over and over. Oh, what are your weaknesses? My weakness is that I'm too focused. Oh my God. When I focus on one thing, I won't focus on another. Hey, why? Because the interview, when you read, they say, when they ask you for your strength, when they ask for your weakness, say something like this, strength, right? Think about it. You think about it. Everybody has a weakness that is actually a strength. So think about what is really you, and you talk about something that is totally unrelated to the job. Or the best way for me, I would even say, if you want to be real and you want to answer the question about your weaknesses, talk about something that was your weaknesses and that was a weakness for you, and show the growth. But if you do this, you have to be very, very conscious that you must use the STAR method. Because if you say that my weakness is that I didn't used to like multitasking, right? That person is going to be like, so doesn't want to multitask, right? But then you have their attention. Say my weakness is that I never used to like multitasking, but then maybe on my first job, my boss was very, very demanding, and I realized that the more I do, the more things I take on at the time, the more adrenaline, the more exciting my job is, the more exciting life is. So I made sure that I went to go and learn how to multitask. I read a lot about this and that, and now In fact, I get bored if I'm doing only one project. So what does that tell them? That, okay, phew, yes, that was a weakness for you, but you have overcome it. And that's even more impressive than saying my weakness is that I am too focused, if you know what I mean. So I think if we can take questions, I really like that, because for me, interviews are, interview is interaction. Interview is selling yourself. And then, but every time I teach interview skills, I always do this. And Lord have mercy on me today. I have to do it today. So just as a reminder, sometimes I've been in interviews where somebody comes in with a fantastic CV, and the person comes in and you're trying to get them to talk. Like, tell me about yourself. Okay, tell me what this job was about. But the person is either nervous or just feels, it's there already on my CV now. Yes, I did that. So the answers are too short, they're not expressive, or the person is maybe trying to be too humble. Being in an interview, you have to have the balance. It's not about being humble. You are there to sell yourself. You're not there to do anything else. You are there to sell yourself, that by the time, at the end of the day, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, you can do the job. You will do the job. And you fit in. In fact, you must be with us. Nobody else can have you. So I'll teach you a song, which means I have to sing since I'm the only one here today. So the song is Sell Yourself. Sell yourself. Nobody will sell yourself for you. Sell yourself. Sell yourself. Nobody will sell yourself for you. So when you're in an interview, remember that you're there to sell yourself, sell your skills, sell your capacity. Be interested in impressing the interviewer. Don't go there with the mindset of, oh, you wicked people, all these people. Hey, now, maybe you have come now. You want to show me I'm not good for this job. And that's how they do. Madam, I need this job. Help me. Hey, I have children. That's not what you're there for. You are there to make sure that they know that you are the best thing since sliced bread. And if they don't have you in that organization, they're the ones missing out. Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. I wish we could all clap. I wish we could hear from all our job seekers, but we can't do that. Thank you so much to all our three speakers. We're now done with the Career Insight session. We're going to start our panel discussion right about now. Thank you so much, starting with our first speaker, Joey Benson, for that amazing delivery on how we can identify temporary employment in the era of remote work. And then our second speaker, Precious Ajornu, who spoke on how to write a compelling CV, did deliver so much value. We have so much questions, so much that are still unattended to, that we might just pick a few out of in the panel discussion and ask those questions. And of course, Ukinabo Diary, who sang us that beautiful song. Uki, you should consider waxing an album. Let me feature, please, as your backup singer. All right, so Uki has spoke to us on how to get ready for interviews, and these insights, job seekers, very, very important, because very soon you'll be regrouping into the employer booth, and you will need to sell yourself in the booth in a short time. You don't need to be nervous. Like Uki has said, it's an opportunity for you to let the employer know why they need you at the organization and the value that you can deliver for them. They're not trying to help you. Like Uki has also said, she said, Madam, help me. It's not about that. It's about what you are going to do for them. They need to know that you care about the organization and you're the person that they're looking for. All right. So we'll start our panel discussion now. Uki and Precious Ajornu, because I've already asked Joey Benson all the questions that I have for her, and we're taking questions from the house as well. So I'm just going to ask questions directed at both our last two speakers. All right, so let me start with Precious Ajornu. You spoke to us on how to get ready for, actually, how to write a compelling CV. I beg your pardon. My notes is full. I have so much. One of the items I have here is don't use one CV for all applications. Go through what the organization is looking for and make sure your CV is tailored to meet that. You also mentioned that every job seeker should ensure that they spell check, right? That bad grammar is not tasteful. You said that they should always include a cover letter. And then one thing that you mentioned, which is very key, is that the CV for both job seekers and, for fresh graduates and for experienced job seekers, it looks different. So for the fresh graduates, you mentioned that their education is going to come first, while experience comes, and it typically should be one page. While for experienced job seekers, their experience should come first their um, after their education or before their education. All right, so my question to you, directed to you, Precious, says, what is the difference between a CV and a resume, and which should a fresh graduate have?
That's a good question. The difference is just terminology, right? In some, it's just language. So a CV is a resume. So in some markets, what you'll be asked is to send a resume. In the Nigerian markets, mostly you'll be asked to send a CV, and both of them really, it does the same thing, is to sell yourself, sell your experience, and to ensure that the employer knows that you're the best person for that job.
Amazing. All right. My next question, what would you, when you say include your achievement on your CV, what does this entail? And can a front desk officer have an achievement on the job?
Absolutely. I like this question a lot. Oh my goodness, you've gotten me excited. Yes, you can. I remember even during my NYSC days, I did have achievements. And let me give you an example. I was working as an accounts support intern at Guinness, Nigeria. And one of the things that I managed to do was we had these inbound checks that will come in and some processes, and I helped streamline it. Right? So instead of spending so much time sorting, I created a system. And what was that? I was just using Ledger at the time, but it was a more efficient system that we had. You can do that. So you're a front desk person, and typically before you join the organization, people will be sitting. I've gone to organizations where you want to see someone and you're sitting in the front desk for hours, and maybe somebody even just finished eating beans, you know, there, and they couldn't care less. But you are a professional front desk person. You came in, you cleaned all of that up, you make sure that the place is, you know, very neat, and then the turnaround time, and that's how you would say it on your CV. Don't just say, you will use the word turnaround or something nice, you know, you improve the turnaround time, you know, from maybe 20 minutes, you know, waiting to see an executive to 5 minutes, because you created an efficient system. And what could it be? It could be as simple as making sure that before somebody comes to your office, they pre-book so that your executive has it in their schedule to send. Let me say this very, very critically. You can move from being a front desk person to even an assistant manager, depending on how you utilize an opportunity. Young people hear this. If you have an opportunity, whether it's front desk, whether it's a very simple, whether it's an internship role, I want you to think like you're an executive and take that role very seriously. I used to carry my internship to my chest. Yes, I used to carry it on my chest, and I was an executive intern, and that helped me move from being an intern. In my second job, I was an assistant manager. So you need to think like a leader, very critical. No matter your role, you can lead from where you are.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Precious, for answering that question. So basically, anyone can have achievements in, you know, in their cover letter or in their CV. All right, so let's move on now to Uki. Uki, this question is directed to you. Is it okay for an employer to ask a job seeker how much they want to earn in an interview? Or is it, you know, let's do the reverse of it. Is it okay for an employee or a job seeker now to ask a potential employer how much, you know, they are offering for the position?
Well, what I'd say is that in an interview, you should allow the employer set the tone. So if the salary conversation, don't be the one to bring up the salary conversation. Let me put it that way. Let them bring up the conversation. Now, if the employer asks you what you want to earn, sometimes you can get away with saying, "Oh, yes, you know, I'm flexible on pay, but I'd like to. I know that the company has a standard, and I'm ready to earn whatever the position. I'm not about the money." You know, those things we say during interviews. Okay, but you can't always get away with saying that, because sometimes they actually need to know, and it is wrong to. I've interviewed people where you say, "No, okay, yes, I know you're not about the money. How much do you want to earn?" And they say, "No, I won't fall for that." tell me, where you tell me how, so you keep going round and round in circles. So if the employer needs to know, then you should be able to tell them how much you want to earn. Now the thing is for you not to say something outrageous. It's for you not to say something that's out of the that will make them say, there's no need calling this person back. I know that is the fear. The fear is I don't want to say something that is too high. I don't want to say something that is too low. But in most cases, especially with structured organizations, even if you say something that's a little bit lower than what they are expecting, they are not going to now reduce your salary. Though I'm not saying it can't happen. The best situation or the best thing I would advise is before you go for the interview, have an idea. Or you know what the role is. Even so, you may not always know what the organization is, but there are similar organizations, there are similar roles in different companies. Have an idea of what you are going to say if you have to answer the question, so that you don't have to just come up with a figure off the top of your head. And then when you go there, now if you are lucky enough to know the organization, better for you. You can always call a lot of people to find out how much they pay. If you don't know the name of the organization and you are being, and I remember once an employer told me that an entry-level person came to their office and they were doing the recruitment directly. So the person came to their office and then the person told them that she wants to earn 800,000 a month and she had never worked before, and the MD says, hello, did you see the kind of car that was parked outside at my own car? Do I look like I can pay 800,000 a month? So it depends. You don't want to say something that makes you look greedy. Just be in a, on the average. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Uki, for that response. You just said that, when a job seeker is asked the question, how much do you want to earn during an interview? They should make sure that before the interview, they have researched on how much, they should earn typically for that position, or how much the employer usually pays for the grade that they are coming in for. That's a good one. Thank you so much, Uki. I still have one more question before we move on to Precious. We have so many questions in the chat box. I'm still scrolling through to see what we can take. All right, Uki, one more question for you. How do you know what to wear to an interview? How do you know what is appropriate for an organization, to wear for an interview?
Okay, and that's even more tricky these days, where we have organizations that dress down, and they want somebody that can dress down as well. You don't want to look stuck up when you're going there. I would say still you cannot go wrong dressing corporate. Dress properly, wear your suit, wear your for a lady you can wear a skirt suit, a trouser suit, wear proper shoes. Don't go there wearing sandals or without socks. Dress properly, make your hair neatly, so that at the end of the day they know that, because no matter which organization no matter how an organization dresses down, there are times when they have to dress up. There are special events, there are meetings that they go for. They know they have to, look really good, and then that way they know that you can fit into that kind of setting. It's easier to dress down than to dress up, right? So for me, I would say you can't go wrong wearing a suit and looking professional. For men, wear dark colored suits. Don't go wearing lime green or red suits or sky blue. Wear your dark colored navy blue, chocolate brown. It can be pinstripe, just to give you that extra flair, but just make sure you look very corporate. For the ladies, you can wear, of course you have more what's it called, more leeway. You can get away with more colors, but no zany. Don't wear yellow. No, yellow hair is not even, it's a little, but don't even go with yellow hair. Don't wear blue hair. Don't go. Yes, the truth is that you might say, what does my hair have to do with what does the hair have to do with what I can do on the job? But the truth of the matter is, remember, can you do the job? Will you do the job? Do you fit into our organization? You don't know the one person that will be there that will take that matter so personal that how could you? So just make sure you dress professional.
Thank you so much. Uki has just said that if you're a job seeker, I beg your pardon. Uki has just said that if you're a job seeker and you're going for an interview, how you choose what to wear is know that you should dress corporate, you should be neat, don't go over the top. Thank you very much for that. Precious, I have the next question for you. What do employers look out for in a CV? Skills and competence?
Yeah, so surely yes, and that's baseline, right? Think about it as the base. I want somebody who, if I'm looking for a doctor or an orthopedic surgeon, or maybe I'm looking for a banker, very minimum, it would be great to know that you have banking skills, right? Minimum. However, you now need to have soft skills. Uki said something that is so profound, and you need to remember that's the third one she was talking about, right? How to know that this person is a good fit. And she talked about the intangible. She called it culture fit. I've been in interviews where we've seen really great people with all the skills, but when we think about the team where we want to put the person to work, we say, this person is, is not going to be a good culture fit, right? So you want to work on your soft skills. And what are they? You want to work on things around your communication skills. In a post-pandemic world, we are working across borders, right? I'm taking this training, this session virtually. You want to be able to communicate across cultures. You want to be agile. Things are changing constantly. We don't know if by tomorrow there's going to be another lockdown, but businesses will continue, to work remotely and things like that. You want to be agile. You want to have things like emotional intelligence, even when you go for interviews. And sometimes that's how you're able to gauge, either through the body language of the people that you're speaking to, whether you need to change your tone of voice, what you need to change. So yes, have those skills, but do not stop there. You need to have soft skills. The research shows that many employers, and from what I see, in fact, almost 85% of employers would choose somebody who has soft skills on top of their technical skills. So please don't only rely on your technical skills. You need soft skills as well.
Great. And I believe that Jobberman has a soft skills training going on as well. Can you tell us about that?
So we have a free soft skills training. Very happy to have created that for Jobberman, and it's situated within the evidence that works, right? Looked at reports from the World Economic Forum, USAID, and all of that, and we've been able to tailor at least 6 major soft skills that you need for you to thrive in the future of work, and it's free. All you have to do is log on to jobberman.com/soft skills, sign up, and take this training in 2 hours. It's quicker than binging on Netflix or watching, Bridgerton, which I love.
Exactly. So that's very important. If you put that on your CV, I mean, it could, who knows, it could get you that job because you've passed the soft skills training, and that is brought to you by Jobberman. All right, I have one more question for you, Precious. Is it okay to put, to include, is it okay for a job seeker to include their picture on their CV?
It's not okay unless you're in India or unless you are in the creative sector. I do find that in India, yes, it's a thing, but it's not a thing here, especially with the ATS. So if you put your picture, let me be very clear, and you apply on a job on Jobberman that is going through our ATS, you're going to be kicked out. So even before you have an opportunity to be screened, you're already screened out. You don't want to do that unless they've told you in the application specifically to include your picture, and it's very rare that anybody would do that because it leads to discriminatory issues as well. So most HR people will stay away from things around pictures, gender, and anything that could create a bias.
And for the ATS system as well.
And for your ATS, so please, no pictures. Do not, unless they specifically say, Precious, put your picture, do not do that at all.
All right, so let's take questions now from the Q&A on the event. I have this question here. It's directed to you, Precious. It says, is it better to write a cover letter on the body of the email or just write it and attach it as a document?
So it's both, but I would typically put it on the body of the email. Why? Because sometimes some people might not read the 2 attachments. So it's smarter, I think, to have it on the body, there, unless you want to go into more detail in your cover letter, which again, you don't want to do because people do not spend so much time on those things. So I would say go for it, put it in the body of the email, unless of course you're applying on their website, then you can have it as an attachment as an attachment, yes.
All right, another question for you, Precious. It says, is it right to put your personal details like age, marital status, state, local government, etc. on your CV.
No, do not do that. Nobody wants to know if you're married. I mean, think about it, right? It's your competence. I want to know if you can do the job. Your gender has nothing to do with your ability to do the job. We all know that, our brains are wired, the same way. We're equals. Your marital status shouldn't have anything. In fact, I'll be worried if you can only do the job because you're married or because you're single. So please, anything that leads to discrimination or bias, you want to take it away from your CV. Don't put those.
All right. Let me see which other question we have here. Okay, so I have this question. It's a comment. It says, thanks a lot for your wonderful teaching. This is from Adesuwa Osarere. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Please pardon me, Adesuwa. Let's see. We have more questions here. This comment says, very insightful sessions. Thank you. Thank you so much to our speakers. Let's see. So if you have any questions for our third speaker, the Managing Director of Edo Jobs, Uki Nebodari, please leave it in the chat box now, and we'll be able to ask Uki these questions. Uki, I have one question for you here. It says, what kind of questions is okay to ask an employer when they ask us if we have any questions for them?
Okay. Just, you can ask them questions about the job. Ask them questions that show that you're already picturing yourself doing the job. So I remember one time a young lady asked a very nice question. She said, "See, the problem I have is when you tell people this, that's the only thing you hear. You have to be creative and come up with your own questions, but I'll tell you anyway." So the young lady asked, "Please, what is the most fulfilling part for you working in this organization? What's the most fulfilling part of the job?" And it was, we were all taken aback, and okay, and then we now started answering. But you don't want to ask them something that will make them have to go and, like they're writing an exam. Don't stress them, they have so many people to interview. So just ask something very short and simple about the job, or as much as possible, not something that is too, it's not as if it's wrong to ask things that have to do with your personal benefit, like, oh, what are the benefits of working here? But remember, you're just trying to create an impression that you're of who you are, of your best self. You are there to work, you're conscious about adding value, and ask, okay, are there opportunities to volunteer across teams? Things that make them see that, okay, this person is really trying to come and add value to the organization.
All right, thank you very much. Still on that question, is it okay to ask, when should I resume? Or a question like, how much would you pay me?
Definitely not. No, and no to both. When you are to resume, they will let you know. And how much will you pay? Like I said, let the employer be the one to bring up the question of pay. Don't be the one to bring it up. Do not worry. So let them bring it up, and but at that point you deal with it. So remember that interviews have stages. So even the fact that you went through the interview and it was nice doesn't automatically mean you should start expecting that you're the one that they're going to take, or that the next stage is to resume. Now, that even reminds me of something else also I would have loved to say, that in an interview, you must always remember why you are there. So even if you are asked a question, because interviewers are human beings, and I must tell you, if you are going to interview like 100 people, 50 people in a day, it gets boring. So sometimes somebody might just ask a question to just change the vibe in the room, right? So the person might just say, "Oh, are you a football fan?" You're not there to talk about, okay, you came there to sell yourself, or your salary that you're expecting is on the line. So you will not say, "Sorry, sir, that's not a professional question." You just have a way of turning the conversation back to your CV. So, for example, you say, "Oh, yes, I'm a football fan. I like football because it has a lot to do with people management, strategy, planning, and forecasting. I like the fact that it is this, that," and you bring it back to why you're in that interview room. So everything you're doing there should be selling yourself. Don't start asking questions that will make it look like you're not a serious person.
Okay, speaking about selling yourself, what's the best way to answer the question, tell me about yourself, when you have
Okay.
never worked before?
Okay, the best is to say, tell me about yourself, to answer, tell me about yourself when you've not worked before, is to tell the employer, remember, they're looking for a certain group of skills. And if you have done your research properly on the role, you should know what those skills are. So if it's an accounting role, they're looking for somebody that's good with numbers. They're looking for somebody that pays attention to detail, because 1 0 can destroy someone's career, right? So they're looking for people that will pay attention to detail. If it's something more creative, they're looking for rule breakers, but not like too much of a rule breaker, but they're looking for people who like to push the envelope. And so you just have to talk about how you have expressed that role. You will still use the STAR method. That's the truth. So tell me about yourself. Let's say I want to be an accountant. You talk about the fact that, oh, my name is this. Don't spend too much time telling them what's already on your CV. They know you studied accounting. They know you graduated last year, but you can just mention in the line, my name is Ukinibo Daria. I am an accounting graduate of so and so university. The reason I studied accounting is because I'm somebody who is passionate about I don't know if someone can passionate about record keeping, but if you are, then you say it. I'm somebody who's passionate. Sorry, because that's so. I'm passionate about record keeping. While I was in school, I did this because I'm the kind of person that is into blah blah blah. I love working in teams. I love working with people. Let them get into your personality. The truth is that some people answer that question so well that at the end of that question, they're looking at each other like, what are we going to ask this one next? Like, everything is just, you've already said everything. You said what you're passionate about. You said what your strengths are. You've been able to give us a glimpse into your personality. But of course, they will still ask more questions. But try to talk about things, elements of yourself that relate to the job. They don't need to know your best food or the name of your best friend, and they don't just need you to give them what is on your CV. Just try and get them to see a little bit into your person. Or if there's one notable thing you've done that when you talk about it, your eyes are going to light up and they're going to see you. Any kind of project at all. It could have been a school project, it could have been anything. Just talk about that and let them see the real you come through. You see, I'm trying very hard not to give answers. I don't want
so that we don't take
just
that.
Go think about it, reflect. You must do interviews with a lot of reflection so that it's really you are selling. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Yuki. One more question, Precious, and we'll be done with our career insight session. All right. This question here says, can one apply for a job that does not match his area of studies if he has experience relating to the job? This is directed to you, Precious Adjourner.
That's a very good question, by the way. So the simple answer is yes, if you do have experience. But remember that you now have to do a little bit, maybe more work. And this also goes to, nobody has asked, but let me say this. Some people have breaks in their CV. So you haven't worked for a year. Should you still apply, or how do you explain, right? Just at the same way Uki said, be ready to explain why you change paths. I started my career in investment banking, right? But it wasn't for me, quite simply put. I love what I'm doing now. And, I'm happy to say that I followed my passion and it's working out for me. So be ready to explain why you did biochemistry and you're now a banker. And be ready to explain it beyond, I didn't find any. Remember, you're selling value at an interview. You're not going there begging for mercy or begging for alms. You want to tell people that you're the best person to do the job. So don't go there and say there was no work in Nigeria and you know how Nigeria is. So because of that, when the bank came, I now went, no. You want to be able to say, you know what, we are in the fourth industrial revolution. Tech is the way everyone is going. I decided to reskill, because again, what I studied in school, so using my sister as an example, studied business administration in Uniben. She's a software engineer in the US now. So she goes for an interview and she says, I decided to reskill, considering, and I was able to also take my problem solving skills from having studied business development into the tech world and all of that. So you now create that marriage in their minds, and your overall objective is to say, I am a value-driven professional. I have magic and you must hire me. Why? Because I will help you double your revenue. Every CEO wants to hear that.
Wow, amazing. Thank you.
Uki is
Thank you
laughing,
so
so it
much.
must be true. She wants to hear
Uki has
that.
something to say. Uki actually has something to say.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I totally agree. Like I'm laughing because you're just hitting the nail on the head. A lot of times people miss it. I call them moments of truth at the interview. There are some things you're just going to have to explain. There's no need praying they will not ask you, oh my God, don't ask me, please don't ask me this question. Don't ask me why I left. And then when they finally ask, it's not when you now realize that, but let me just tell you the truth. That my boss, oh God. Once you start complaining about your boss, that means you are lazy. There's no interviewer that's going to be on your side. No matter how evil you make your boss out to seem, you might not be lazy, and the person might have really been the she devil. Let me call it that way. But once you do that in an interview, the only thing I'm hearing is, oh my God, problem child. Hey, this one, hey, no, 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 no. So you better go and think very well how you're going to, because those moments of truth can be your best selling. That's what I always say. I mean, that's why I smiled when you said that, because it was perfect. The moments of truth can be your best selling opportunity. Because when you talk about how you transitioned, how you changed, oh yes, I stopped, I left work to have my kids, but during that time, I did this, I did that, I've improved myself. And in fact, because I'm somebody that is so driven and I'm so career focused, I'm even looking to really apply myself to a role where I can, even make up for the lost time, because I want to. So you have to, sell yourself is not a joke. You have to be on point, but you have to plan it.
Thank you. Thank you so much to all our speakers at the fourth virtual edition of the Edo Job Fair. We're so grateful, so much insights. These sessions are worth several thousands of naira. I tell you, job seekers, they're worth several thousands of naira, but we have brought it to you free on this edition just to equip your capacity. It's going to help you going forward from this session to the next and even beyond the Edo Job Fair. So I hope that you've taken notes, and I hope that you're going to apply everything that our speakers have said today. Thank you. Thank you so much, Precious Ajanu. Thank you so much, Ukinabo Diary. And of course, to our first speaker, Joey Benson. All right. So now we're going to hear from our next, from the tech team. I beg your pardon, I was distracted there. We're going to hear from the tech team on how we're going to regroup to the live employer. But I know the question on the minds of most of our job seekers is, when are we going to interact with employers? So that's what I came here for today. You came here for that, but we also decided to throw in the bonus and equip your capacity. All right, so the tech team is going to tell us how the regrouping into the employer booth is going to work. Please be attentive. Everything that you hear is going to guide you on regrouping. All right, over to you, tech team.
To land your dream job, or an employer seeking to recruit talented candidates for positions at your organization, then do not miss the opportunity to meet recruiters and find the right candidates at the fourth edition of the Edo Job Fair, coming up on Tuesday, the 18th of May 2021, time 10 a.m. This edition is virtual. Attendance and exhibition at the fair is free. For registration and inquiries, please visit www.edojobs.careers/virtual job fair or call 0807-864-6487 or 0902-7465-864. Brought to you by Edo Jobs and GIZ Sky. Are you a job seeker trying to land your dream job, or an employer seeking to recruit talented candidates for positions at your organization? Then Do not miss the opportunity to meet recruiters and find the right candidates at the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair, coming up on Tuesday, the 18th of May 2021, time 10 a.m. This edition is virtual. Attendance and exhibition at the fair is free. For registration and inquiries, please visit www.edojobs.careers/virtual job fair or call 0807 864 6487 or 0902 7465 864. Brought to you by Edo Jobs and GIZ Sky.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 4th edition of Edo Jobs, the Edo Job Fair. So I am Kabir Olatunde, and I'm working with Pressure Consulting, and I'll be giving the instructions on how participants are supposed to go into the booth. So basically, I'm sure there are 2 links that were shared with the participants. One was the live events link, and the other link that was shared was the sector link. So what participants are supposed to do now, if they are on the live event, is to leave the live event by clicking on the red button that is just at the right top of either their system, or I'm guessing for mobile phones, you see it's there, or the lower button on your mobile device. So the participants will need to go back to their email. That's the link that was sent to them vis-a-vis their email, and click on that link. That will now lead them into the meeting room, where they will be received by moderators that will put them into the various booths to have their interviews with. But please, I think I need to stress this. Participants will only be given 2 minutes to interact with their employers. So please, you need to sell yourself within 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, you'll be kicked out of the box, not kicked out, but like be moved out of the box with the employer into another box. So I think that's basically the information that participants will need to actually get into the Teams meeting lobby sector.
Thank you so much, Kabi, for sharing that information. Quite important, job seekers. Please, after this general session, we'll still have our closing remarks and thank yous. After this, general event, you can then leave and then click on the link that has been sent to you via email to go into the sector that you already, your registration, chose to go into. All right, thank you very much again, Kabi. Like he has mentioned, your interaction with the employer is going to be short, it's going to be timed 2 minutes. So please ensure that you sell yourself in a short time. Sell yourself, be precise, be timely. Thank you so much for joining the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair, brought to you by Edo Jobs in partnership with GIZ Nigeria Sky program. We also have a Share Your Experience media room. The link is going to be sent to you via email. So please, you can go there to share your experience. I see so many of you on the chat box saying this is amazing, it's very insightful, I can see all the comments. So please, we want you to share that with us, share that with our media team. Please, go to that booth. It will be shared to you. The link will be shared to you via email. Go to that booth and share your experience. They will interview you, and you'll be able to share your experience, in the chat booth. I beg your pardon. All right. Thank you so much again to the organizers of this event, the Edo Jobs, and to the partners, speaking about GIZ Nigeria Sky program, and to the Edo State government and all other partners who have made this program the success that it is today. Our closing remarks, Uki is going to take our closing remarks. She's the managing director of Edo Jobs, and she's going to take the closing remarks before we say our goodbyes. All right, Uki, Please unmute your microphone and allow your video. Uki? All right, seeing that Uki is not present, I'm just going to say thank you again for joining the Edo Job Fair. I wish you the very best, every job seeker present here this afternoon. I wish you the very best as you regroup into the employer booth. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the 4th edition of the Edo Job Fair. My name is Fumi Shodikbe, and I have been your moderator. It's been a pleasure moderating this event.